right. Once again, we are going to do some real-time results. Thanks, James, for jumping on with me. James runs the portion of the accounts that have a lot to do with multiple medical formats. And we have so many different clients. We try and do a good swath of different ones every couple of weeks when we do these, just show you guys or show you, the listener or the viewer, especially if you are an owner of a practice or an owner of a business or a manager of a business, trying to make sense of how to get more patients through the door. You know, we run hundreds of accounts with thousands of campaigns, and we see all this data. So we try and get it out to you to show you what's going on. And this one I loved. We're going to start off with one where they tell us because it's too much, shut it down, right? Too many bleeds, too much going on, too successful. How about that? So talk to me about this one, James.
Sure. And actually, as live as we're doing it, because I just got the text from the client, I got to shut it off. So there we go. Now they're off because he requested. So yeah, this is Sport and Spine. He's a physical therapist. He has a certain method, which he's created, his own method called the Welton method. The client's name is Ryan Welton. And we've been running with him for over a year now. And he does a great job. He's a great closer. We send him a ton of leads. He does a lot of videos for what he does to show off his method. You'll see here we have a ton of videos. These are all the different ads that we kind of pop in and out. He does a $21 evaluation and treatment offer to get them in the door. He closes upwards of 50, 60%. He's like a last resort. When you've gone to your typical therapist, your typical chiropractor, and they still can't, his method is kind of helps him get pain relief. And he does it for a couple of the Florida Marlins baseball players. And yeah, like I said, we're at this point now, he's basically running ads maybe 3-4 days a week, and we're turning him off for the others because in those 3-4 days, he's packing up his schedule. So he's solid.
How many leads does he get on a day?
In a day's time, he's averaging, now he spends a nice amount of money. He's about a $6,000-$7,000 a month ad buy. He's getting upwards of, on average, 10. You know, some days it's 15, some days it's 10, some days it's 12, but he's somewhere in that range. Yeah, he's packing them in. And like I said, he closes more than half of them. Right. By closing, I mean, he gets them in the door and paying.
Well, and this is a good lesson for people who are in the physical therapy, chiropractic world, and the rest of it, who's involved in sort of break fix, right? There's a number out there. He figured it out. Like, he knows if he spends $5-6 grand a month, his place will be jammed, right?
Yep.
It's worth it for him. And we always talk to a lot of the problem with chiropractic and PT shops. They never spend enough. They talk a big game. They want to have 1 million patients, but they never put the money down to make it happen. This guy says, okay, let's do it. And he knows that literally we have to shut the ads off because he's too booked. So the question is, if you're a PT guy or a gal, I should say, or chiropractic or any of the break fix stuff that's out there where, you know, pain is the issue and you want to do this, we see it all the time, $29 evaluation, $28, $27, right? He does 21, whatever the thing is that, you know, you want to bring the customer in on an offer. The patients are there. It's a matter of repeating the message into the market. But you have to spend enough to get the thresholds that you want. So if you want to be busy all day, if you say, I want my books all filled up, okay, this is how it works. If you want them all booked, it's probably going to be about $5 grand a month of spend, and you will be booked consistently.
And just to add to it, Matt, this is the only advertising he runs. So if anybody's watching this and they're like, well, maybe he's doing Google ads or he's running, you know, some kind of old traditional advertising, this is it. This is the only money he spends. This is what drives his business. End of story. That's it.
We've seen this before, whether it's New York City, when we did Dr. Perna. I mean, we used to run all sorts of stuff for him. And again, he got so busy, he sort of slowed down because it was at a point where even with a 6,000 square foot facility, you know, there's a certain limitation of time and operators and rooms and all the stuff you have to consider. But the moral of the story is, and we learned this ourselves with our own advertising, and now we spend 10 grand a month just for ourselves as our business, Practice Boom. And we're so busy, I can't even handle it anymore. I'm like, now I have to hire salespeople. And I think the questions are always going to come down to, don't go at this thinking you want to limp in, because that it makes a negative approach, right? You end up with the wrong end of the stick because you don't get algorithmically displayed enough to make enough money. And then you think it doesn't work because you say, well, if I did this and if I ratchet it up, it's going to be worse. Well, that's right, because that's the only way you've seen it. But if you saw it from this end, where we see people's schedules being completely booked, and we say, okay, yeah, of course they have to spend $500 a day to do this or whatever the number comes out to be. But if that's what you want, if ideally you say, I want my schedule so booked that I can't even see above the patients, right? All right, let's do it. And I think that's a big lesson, especially for physical therapy and chiropractic. It is a huge market with a huge demand and a monstrous amount of competitors. The only way to do it is to break through with something like this, where you're over extending yourself into the network over and over and over and over and over, and the retargeting. So talk to me a little bit about that before we move on to the next one, about how the retargeting works in this case.
In physical therapy, sure. So, I mean, in the case of, let me go back to his here. So, in his particular case, actually, we have the retargeting off right now. But yeah, we would get people. We retarget engagement and landing page views and completions, right? Because after they complete the landing, they submit their name, email, and phone number, they have the ability to book, right? So even though Ryan has a great closing, he'll call them back immediately, right? The ones that he doesn't get, we get on the retargeting end of things, right? We're targeting people that we know you were there, we know you looked at the landing page, we know you submitted your information, but you never booked online, and then we'll send them a retargeting ad that tells them, book now, and then he picks up another 5-10%, right? Without him ever even touching them. You know what I'm saying? Calling them, emailing them.
Right.
It's just straight. They call, they book. Right. So on top of him, great closing, in-house closing, right? We add on to that with the retargeting end of things. Like I said, we retarget people that, like, you can retarget on Facebook. You can retarget engagement. You can retarget people that have just watched a video, left a comment, landed on a landing page, but never moved anywhere further than that. And that's what we do. So we target people, new eyeballs, and then we get the new eyeballs. Brian closes who he can close, and the ones he can't close or can't get in touch with, we come behind with the retarget ads and then sweep them up. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's got quite an operation. We've really perfected it with him,
Yeah.
and and we've built up a great relationship too.
Yeah, so 10
Um,
to 15 patients getting booked a day. I mean, this is where these guys all want to be. So now
yeah,
you know the numbers, you know how it works. This is it. I mean, if you think there's a better way than this, good, go do it. But this is working, and these guys are making plenty of profit, especially with the fact that this is, in a good area. I mean, all this stuff has to count. You have to think about the fact, especially when you talk a population density, Florida, Texas, these big monster areas have got millions of people. I mean, there's just, you think about this is 10 to 15 patients out of those millions of people. I mean, it's just, you have to scale this in your head to see what's going on with Facebook. It's touching everybody, and you have the opportunity to play right now. And it makes a lot of sense. There's no gambling here. This is like mathematics at the end of the day.
I mean, just look, and this is just in total since February of 2020, which I think is right around where we started with him, or no, it was a few months after. But look, this man has spent over $134,000, and he's made it back, 5x, 7x, 10x, depending on what month it is. He's making it back way more than he's investing in it on a monthly basis. So I know some people get a little scared with these big numbers, but you do make your money back, and he's a proof of it.
Yeah.
So that he does a well job. So
Well, after what, 200, almost 3,000 consultations over that
yeah,
period of time. I mean, how many patients is that? 1,500 patients? Is 1,500 patients worth $130,000? I think that's probably 1,500 patients is, if you did the math and the
yeah.
average lifetime value, I mean, that's what, $600 to $800 on
In his,
average for.
in his particular case, on average, lifetime value is upwards of 2,500, 3,000, something like that. Until he gets them where they want to be. So Do the math.
Yeah, well, I say from the initial, just the initial consultation and going through, let's say their first couple of sessions. This is just say $600 on the very low end. You know, you're looking at $1 million right
Yeah,
there. $600, from that 134,000.
yeah,
So that's on the first turns, right? And if they go further, yeah, sure. I mean, this is multi-millions, but I think the reality is the big numbers scare people. You're right. But break it down to like what this means for you as a business owner and the lifetime value of building an referral base that's now going to bring in other clients. This is another piece of the puzzle that people don't get, which is that you're taking, I think this is the thing that people get confused with. You have a referral network when you first get started as a business, and you have all these people who know you, and you kind of grow it slowly because you've got friends and a family, and the more people you see. But when you do something like this, where you're expanding to like 3,000 patients that you never had before, or let's just say 1,500, because he closes 50% of these people, 1,500 new relationships times 4 is really the number, because now you're looking at those people typically refer in over their life 4 people.
yeah.
So you really think about all the new network you're building with these new patients, and people don't put that into thought process when they start spending. It's more than just what you see here on paper or paper. I must be old. More than you see on the screen. It's actually, a lot more that's going to come through. So let's
And
move.
and and to just add it back, you're absolutely right, because those referrals are the reason why he's only running half the week now. You understand? Like it took a while to get to that point because he wasn't always like this. It's only the last, I would say, 3 to 4 months where we now turn off half the week and on. It was him building up for about a year and a half, spending what you see on the screen right there, getting in those 1,500 times the 3, 4 referrals, and now the referrals are, you know, are an added bonus. You know what I'm saying? It's part of the lifetime value of one customer, of one patient. So that's that. This is a new thing that we're starting to see with this client, with the shutting off half the week. We don't do that with everybody, but he obviously made the investment and now it's paying dividends.
Good. Well, let's move to the next one, because we've kind of, I think we've worn this one through, but I love this next one because it's something that we don't see all the time, but the cost per acquisition is so cheap, which is great.
Yep. So this is Texas Telehealth. They offer connected devices to monitor diabetes and high blood pressure at home. Right? They send you the free. It's a free. It's like a monthly. I think it's a monthly fee that they pay the clients, but it's nominal. It's not much, but it gets them in. They get the devices in their hands. We've had this client since, there we go.
This
It's a
is the
30
COVID
days
client.
now, but yeah, this I'm looking at a 30-day snap here. I can do maximum. I think he started when April,
Yeah. He
middle of
was he
April.
was in the middle of the COVID. I can remember having the conversation with him. It was just when
Correct.
we were getting out of COVID, he was just coming through.
Yep, he was just coming through. I mean, you take a look here. He's got 1,000 people claimed. He's spent the another one. Spend the money, you make the money back, right? Where is he? And he's not there. But yeah, that's what he does, and as simple as that. I mean, they submit the equipment is free. Like their monthly fee to manage this is really nothing, and a lot of it's covered by insurance. So it's a win-win for him. I think the lifetime value of these customers that he's paying $9,
Yeah,
per not, and you add in our fee, maybe that goes to maybe $15-20 per acquisition. But the lifetime value on this is over 500, 600, $700 or something to
yeah,
that
yeah.
effect. So I mean, again, do the math, right? Numbers don't lie, and he's doing wonderfully. I mean, and the great part about this client is, I have clients like the one previously, Ryan Welton. We're in conversation week to week, and that's great. It's fantastic. And then I have a client like this where we just deliver him up all of these leads. We really never even talk to each other except on a monthly basis, right? Just catch
Right.
up. Everything's working great, terrific, and he's busy doing his business. We're doing our job, and he does his job, and it's a wonderful relationship. So,
Yeah, and the
he
cost
keeps
per
me busy.
acquisition, when you're under $10 for acquisition, I mean, you're gonna swing the bat as hard as you want, because that's sort of like you're just gonna get volume. And the funny thing is, I know what this guy does, because this monthly retainer can last forever, because these people go on these monitoring programs and are usually diabetics, as you said, and they have to be monitored. And they, especially with COVID, there's all sorts of new rules. So, you know, again, Medicaid, Medicare stuff, we play in this space every once in a while where it's specific to sort of justification of some of the things that are part of those programs. And that you're right, is that the insurance or Medicaid or Medicare will take care of the stuff. So, there's lots of little spaces in the medical world where there's, spaces to play that have got good return, and also don't take a hell of a lot of work. As you mentioned, we're not killing ourselves, neither is he. We're switching up ads, we're maybe changing the locations and maybe the demographics of the audience every other couple of weeks, but in reality, this is the type of stuff where we get nice solid results because we've just asked the customer, just get in the game, spend a decent amount and you'll be fine, and let us do our work. And those are the best clients for us, and that's the best for him too, because he doesn't have to bother with it. He just says basically turn it on and turn it off. So that's great.
The guy wakes up every morning to at least a dozen new leads a day. So we're keeping him busy. That's fantastic. That's our job. We're doing it, and we're doing it well with him. So
All
yeah,
right,
he's
let's get on to the next one then, since
sure.
this was a pretty easy one. I think this one,
This one
we just
just
started, but that's
literally
fine.
launched, like
Yeah.
literally days ago.
Can you show the ad sets on this one?
Sure, absolutely. So this is what they call lunchtime lipo. It's a non-surgical liposuction service. Um, these are the ads we're running. Real simple, straightforward stuff. They're getting 25% off. They're marketing it as it's so simple that you could just do it during your lunchtime, period, right? And it's working, and people are coming in. It's affordable. Like I said, anything that's simple to do and in a short period of time and people can understand. This goes with Facebook ads, right? You have to simplify the offers, right? You tell them, listen, if you come in for a half hour, 45 minutes, we're able to take X amount of body fat off of you. Wow, okay. And 25% off, which is already an affordable price. I think for that time period, it's 25% off, it's a couple $100, right? Compared to the other offers like this in the space that do fat reduction and fat burning and so forth, so it's competitive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, we just started this one. I think out of those 8 they might have booked 2 already, 2 or 3. So
Yeah.
you're looking already at a 15-20% closing rate, and literally just launched it a couple days ago.
Yeah, they're already net positive
Yeah,
after just a couple of days.
after a few days, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And the cost, and this cost per result, each one is right in the market range for their cost per leads, which is, yeah, it should be anywhere from $12 to $20 for the fat burning, fat loss field. So they're right in
Yeah,
there.
this isn't, let's make that correction. This isn't non-surgical, it's minimally invasive
Minimally
surgery.
invasive, yes.
Yeah, so I think you have to be
It's
clear about what it is. I mean, obviously there's a million different ways from Sunday that we have all these different variables on weight loss strategies, which go from full lipo to minimally invasive
yeah.
lipo
This
to
isn't full lipo. That's what I
burning,
meant. It's
full
not.
skeleton. Yeah.
You're in and
But
you're
the
out.
concept is cost per acquisition at 18 bucks for a lead. Holy cow. And we know what that means, which is that the turn on this stuff is going to be 100x, if they can. Well, they won't book everybody, but you're definitely north when you see a cost per acquisition around 18 bucks of a lipo. I mean, you're talking, I'd say a 15x return on your investment or return on your marketing spend, right? I mean,
Easily.
these things are lottery tickets if you can get these people who are ready to go, especially with lunchtime, because they know it's fast. So they're going to come in and go out pretty quick. It's timing, it's strategy. This is just great stuff. So James, I really appreciate everything today that you and I have gone through, and for these accounts. Um, One question I had for you, and this is sort of, it's part of the overall strategy. We know our theme for this session has been spend. It's been, if you're really putting a decent spend in, you really get a much better result. Again, I don't like to say it's the gambling aspect here, but if you go to Vegas or Atlantic City and you put $20 on the table, you're going to get something back. If you put $2,000 on the table, it's going to be so much greater of a difference if you're winning. Not that this is gambling, but I'm just trying to put the correlation together, is that the scale for Facebook, especially because of how the algorithm works and because of the ability to get above your competitors, it just is such a different thing Google's one thing where, you're either shown or you're not shown. Facebook's an algorithm. Facebook is like you're playing their game. So if you want to do this, if you spend, it works, and it works a hell of a lot better when you have real spend. And that's just the rules of the road. We don't make it. We don't make up the rules. It's just that's what it is.
We're here to advise you, and I'll be honest with you. That's I would say that's the problem with half of the advertisers on Facebook, is they don't spend. And we're honest when you sign up with us. We know the spaces, we know the medical spaces, the spa spaces, and a bunch of different verticals, and we know what the spend is to compete, right? And that's why you pay professionals to tell you that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing. We've done this 1,000 times, and we know the people that are going to be troublesome with us are the ones that are already asking, like, oh, can I do less? Do I have to spend that much? And we're like, well, yeah, you can spend less, but that you're going the wrong direction. You should be asking us how to spend more, because that is the real the solution to all of this, is that you got to figure out how to ratchet your spend up so you can get your spinning of what I would consider like the flywheel of this business. The faster you get this thing to spin, it just goes, and then it's unstoppable. Then you're going to say,
well,
how do I show
and the other thing is also, with an increased spend, Facebook optimizes your campaigns, which means, the more people that click in, the more data is collected, the more they can precisely deliver the ads. So with the higher spend, that happens so quickly too. So a lot of people come in, they'll spend a lot less, and it inhibits the technical optimization of these ads, and they don't perform, and they spend less for 3-4 months, and they're like, that's not working. So besides the obvious results end of things, where people are actually coming into your place and doing business with you, the increased spend also increases the technical end of things, where now the ads are going to the right, even better, more targeted eyeballs. As you spend more and more people click in, and the artificial intelligence, the AI is learning who these people are clicking in. Yeah, it has a technical and a business benefit to spend. Spend more, make more, but it does it on all aspects. It just helps out the campaigns.
Good. All right, awesome. We'll see you in our next meeting. Thanks, James, for your time today, and thank you, listener, for watching or listening to this episode.
See you later.